It is early November, and in October, for Chinese National Day, which is normally the first week of October, I took a trip down to Yunnan province. It's in the south, kind of the southwest part of China. I visited Dali and Shaxi and Lijiang and Lugu Lake and Kunming. And while I was there, I took a bunch of little videos, kind of really amateur travel show kind of a thing. And I put them together in a video for you. I have to admit, it feels really good to be back in Beijing. I like Beijing a lot, but traveling the south was nice, and I'd like to show you what I saw there. It's great to be a tourist in a place that's really popular for tourists to visit in China, outside of Golden Week. We still have a few days left until the national holiday, and I'm in Dali, which is a very popular tourist destination for both Chinese tourists and for foreign tourists, kind of like the backpacker, like exotic jungle kind of thing. Like it's definitely very gentrified. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing like risky or exotic, or I don't know. It's Dali has marketed itself fairly well as a tourist place. But I'm not totally sure if there was a conscious effort or something that evolved naturally. But either way, it seems decent at the moment. Not fantastic, but neither is it horrible. And I'm just so glad that I'm able to see this without throngs and throngs of tourists everywhere. I think I've made a very good decision to take a few days off work earlier, before the national holiday starts. Dali does not disappoint. From my experience, maybe like 80 or 90% of Chinese tourist locations are basically like this. There's an old building which was destroyed at some point in history. The one behind me was destroyed in the Ming Dynasty. It was rebuilt in 1999, mimicking the old style. I don't know how real or how authentic that is. And then we've got these kind of oldish style brick walkways with some shops with some faux old facades. And that's about it. I'm sure there's more to Dali than this, but I just wanted to make a note that, when I've gone to the Great Wall and seen like a special historical cultural street that's built up next to it, or when you go to just about any city and see there, like the old city, this is normally what it looks like. So, the weather forecast this morning said it was going to be either drizzling or thunderstorming all day. So I decided, rather than kind of wandering around or renting a moped or bicycle and biking around, I would take a bus around the lake. This is kind of a typical tourist, like, get on at whichever stop you want, get off at whichever stop you want type of bus. So it has a loop it goes through and it stops like 15 or 20 times. And it turns out I am the only person on this bus, which I think is hilarious. But I'll just ride it along. I got off my tourist bus. The first stop I'm gonna be at, it's this little village called Qizhou, which roughly translates to like happy town or like village of happiness. Zhou is like a small village, not a city, like a village or a town, and Xi is just like marital bliss, happiness. It's kind of like really deep happiness, not just a kind, much more powerful than I'm hanging out with my friends and I feel good kind of happiness. And so far it seems pretty nice. Everything has kind of an old feel. There's of course lots of like people that have set up shops to sell to the tourists, because there are like tour groups that come here, but not quite so many as larger places like Lijiang or Dali. Also, a good friend of mine, Catherine, lived here for a few months over the summer. She was interning with this really fancy hotel called the Linden Center. So she like took people on tours and did cultural stuff, and she also did a good deal of research about like the identity of some of the local peoples. I've always kind of wanted an experience of standing like in the little aisles between rice fields, the kind of thing that I conjure up in my mind when I think of a typical experience of like Vietnam or Laos. And this is probably the closest I'm going to get in China. It vaguely reminds me of rural Minnesota, actually, visiting Grandpa, and him showing off his corn and his wheat and stuff. These are not nearly as high, but still, it's a field. One thing that I've always been intrigued by are Chinese snacks. A lot of these just look like dried, fried, spicy, various things. Most of them I have no idea what they are, and I'm really curious as to how popular these actually are among Chinese people. Probably about 10 meters over that way, there are bunches of tour groups, but in this little courtyard area there's basically nobody, and it's very calm and very peaceful. There's tiny exhibitions about local Yunnan history, about, you know, what kind of governor was installed by the the emperor, like the national government, to rule Yunnan. An exhibition of local calligraphers, I guess. So, quite nice. It doesn't take much effort, even if you're in a really touristy place, to kind of step beyond that. One thing that I love about Chinese historical locations are big kind of etched in stone inscriptions like these. Sometimes you see them on the walls, and if you go to the Minneapolis Institute of Art, they have like a big, I think it's a big stone tablet like this where it's engraved. But what's much more common in China, and I think in a lot of East Asian countries, are these kind of stone pillars. They look a little bit like tombstones, honestly. But they're just kind of these historical markers that, you know, the emperor would leave behind, saying this is what happened in this year. And they do tend to fade over time, you know, erosion and whatnot. So we know a lot better what happened in the year 1600 whatever than we do what happened in the year 300 whatever. You know, but they weren't just used by emperors. Here are a bunch of these. I think they're called stellies. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. I've never actually heard anyone say it, even though I've seen it in writing quite a few times. I am taking this cable car up the mountain. It is Cangshan, or like Cang Mountain, and we could have hiked up, but the cable car is pretty cheap, and we heard that there were good views. So far, it's mostly just a corridor of trees, but we're also saving a lot of time by not hiking. I say we because I met an Israeli couple in the hostel, so we decided to hike the mountain together today. You know, met during dinner last night, and you know, I mentioned I'm planning to hike the mountain. They said, "Oh, we're gonna hike the mountain too. Let's do it together." So heading up, hopefully gonna see some nice nature and get some good scenery, looking down on the old town and looking down on the lake. Hi, Mom. So I'm hiking up this mountain and just arrived at this temple called Zhonghe Temple, and I'm hiking with this nice Israeli couple that I met at the hostel.
Hi. How's it going?
So we're just gonna hike around and take some pictures and, you know, see what the mountain has to offer.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
我的小宝贝，期待着你的拥抱。我的小宝贝，多么想牵着你的手，躺在那小山坡，静静地听你诉说你幸福的往事。期待着你的回来。
That Israeli couple and I had a nice hike on the mountain. Now I'm just kind of strolling through the old town, looking for a place to get something tasty to eat for dinner. I stumbled upon what seems to be a kind of plaza for a temple fair each year. You know, it looks kind of nice. I thought I'd share it with you. So I'm in this little village called Shaxi. It took me a long time to get here. I was originally planning to catch a bus by the side of the highway to the kind of county city and then get a mini bus from there to here. But turns out all the buses that were passing on the highway, they were already full. So I had to go to a different city where those buses originated from and get it from there to the county city to here. Anyway, it involved several hours delay, so it's about 5 p.m. I was expecting to get here around like 2 p.m. maybe, but I'm so glad I'm finally here, and it's certainly touristified in the same way that Dali was, but this seems a bit less so. The colors are a bit less fake, and I'm just really looking forward to getting to my hostel and putting down my bag. I'm in a little public square in this village, Shashi. Behind me is an old theater. I assume it was used for like festival performances or some kind of religious ceremonial performances. So it's a pretty nice little place. It's early morning, so there's not many people around. Later in the day there'll be, busloads of tourists. But for now it's quite nice and quite calm.
Can you see me?
Hi, Mom. This is my friend Xiaojie. Say hi, Xiaojie.
Oh, I didn't know it's true, Mom. Hi, Joseph's mom.
This is my friend Paula. Say hi, Paula. We just finished hiking. Well, we're not totally done hiking, but we've been hiking for maybe 45 minutes or an hour up this hill, this mountain. And we've just finally left a dirt path, and we reached this kind of paved stone path.
Yay!
And we're all breathing hard and sweaty, and I think we're all really happy.
Yeah, really.
To have arrived at this stone path. So, yeah, we're gonna keep heading up. So, I'm here at the temple with Paula and Xiaojie, and we hiked up a mountain this morning, and then we took a little bus and we rode some horses, and I think Xiaojie is having a seizure. And we've arrived at this pretty nice temple, and it's not just this temple right here in front of us, but also up on the cliff face up above us. There's some temple buildings carved into the side of the cliff, which looks kind of cool. So it's a pretty scenic area. There are some pretty big Buddhas at this temple. So it is morning in Shashi, and we have decided to have a little adventure. We've rented a moped and a bike. I've never ridden a moped before, so this is going to be kind of fun. Say hi, Paula.
Hello, morning.
Yeah, so we'll kind of rotate between two people on the moped and one person on the bike, because I'm sure we'll get tired, whoever's riding the bike. So we'll switch off, and we'll just kind of explore some of the little villages or some of the areas around here. Hey there. So this morning, my friends and I took a little ride on a moped and a bicycle to see some local scenic place, which wasn't terribly special. And this afternoon, they're kind of tired, so they're gonna nap and explore town. But I am taking the moped that we rented, and I'm protecting myself from the sun so that my bald spot doesn't get sunburned. And I'm just kind of riding around and exploring this area. So I've just been out of town for maybe 10 minutes or so, and you can kind of see some of those buildings off in the distance. Right at the bottom of this valley is the little town of Shashi. But I'm just kind of heading up this side to, pass through little villages, look at some fields, just kind of see what there is to see. I'm also really pleased with my cowboy hat. I am particularly enjoying this afternoon's ride because I'm just kind of exploring nearby areas, and I wandered down a little street in a little village, and I found this, what I guess is some kind of a local temple of some type. It's a pretty old building, but lovely scenery all around. Vibrant kind of yellow-green fields of, I don't even know what plant that is. And then this ancient building. I'm gonna go take a look and see what's inside. what was your favorite part of today, Paula?
My favorite part of today, I think it was biking in the countryside because it's
Uphill?
no, not uphill, on a plane, on a how to say
On a flat surface.
Yes, on a flat surface because the countryside here is really special and there was a blue sky.
Oh, blue sky. Xiaojia, what was your favorite part of
Corn
today?
people place.
Corn people. Can you explain what corn people are?
So I think it's the farmer's house. They're all like there are two families. I don't know if they have like a farm, but they have a lot of corns that they hang up on the walls, on the front yard, and there's old man there. So it's just they have a cow. We named her Bella. We fed her too, and we did some photo shoot there. So that was awesome.
And I think my favorite part of the day was in the afternoon, I got to kind of explore the countryside, and I didn't really look at a map to know where I was going. I just kind of picked a direction and I rode, and I took little roads, saw some nice temples, wonderful scenery, because we're kind of in a valley between two sets of mountains, so that was really nice. I am in the city of Lijiang, which is often used as an example of the worst of touristification and commodification in all of China. So far it's not horrible, but it's fairly unimpressive to me. It's a lot of fake old stuff, a lot of shopping, commodification, statues that are built in an old style made to look, like new statues that are built in an old style. Even the map kind of behind me, about there, you can see that it's like built on these stone pillars to make it look old and ancient, whereas in reality it's, probably just went up a few years ago. And it's pretty early in the morning right now, it's a bit drizzly, but I assume as the day goes on and the weather gets better, there will be more and more tourists around here, so that it will eventually be totally packed. At which point I hope to be in some other part of the city. Despite its reputation as like a horribly touristy place, they've built something big and it looks kind of nice. It's like a small version of the Forbidden City, I guess. I'm not sure if this is where like the regional governor lived or something like that. Or maybe it's something that was like 80% built and exaggerated for tourists. I'm not really sure. But I think I'll have a stroll through. I am on my way from Lijiang to Lugu Lake. Lugu Lake is famous as an area where the Mosuo people live. They are supposedly a matrilineal society. They don't have any kind of marriage. This is all supposed, but instead practice a walking marriage, which is basically long-term informal partnerships. People are allowed to have multiple partners. However, since I studied Chinese ethnic minorities in college, I know that a lot of that is kind of BS and exaggerated for tourism. It's called like the mysterious like country of women, which is bullshit. Like in reality, most of the partnerships, they tend to be informal, but just like most dating is also informal. You don't sign a contract when you date somebody in the United States. Most dating relationships are still monogamous. It's vaguely similar with the Mosuo. However, they do have traditions that the tourism industry plays upon. Like the man, when he goes to like woo a woman, he has to bring a hat and a knife and a stick of meat, and each of these represent different things. So it's about an 8-hour bus ride. We're maybe 3 hours in. We're stopping at some kind of a rest stop. The scenery's been pretty nice. It's mountainous, but of course, 8 hours of mountains gets kind of dull and repetitive. So I'm glad I've got some reading material. After about 8 hours on a bus, we have finally arrived at Lugu Lake. Our tour guide is getting us our entry tickets, and I'm gonna take a look at the scenery.
期待着你的拥抱，我的小宝贝，多么想牵
Pretty nice
着
looking lake.
你的手，躺在那小山坡，静静地听你诉说你幸福的往事。期待着你的回来，我的小宝贝。 期待着你的拥抱，我的
I've spent all afternoon kind of going to various locations around Lugu Lake with this tour group. I think this is our last stop of the evening. We've had dinner already, so after this, well, maybe after this is some kind of like bonfire thing, and then just go to the hotel. I'm panting a bit because we're climbing up a little mountain. And off to my left, there's that long bridge, which they basically call the Zhouhunqiao, or the walking marriage bridge. I have no idea where it ranks on a scale of authenticity. No idea. We got on the bus to leave Lugu Lake at like maybe 9:30 or 10 this morning, and instead of taking 8 hours, the trip took about 9.5 hours. There was pretty heavy rain at parts, and these were curvy mountain roads, so we were going very slowly. There was also a crash at some point on the road in front of us. We were just stuck sitting there for like 20-30 minutes until like the local cops got that figured out. Finally arrived back in Lijiang. I went to the bus station to pick up my ticket, and turns out the friend who helped me buy the ticket didn't give me the password, the code that I need to pick up the ticket. But I finally got that all worked out. We've got about an hour and a half until my bus leaves, so I've looked online, used an app on my phone to find a local place to eat that is cheap and nearby. And then if I have enough time, I want to get a really quick haircut because I've got these fuzzy things by my ears that are growing back. I'd like to get those taken care of. So that's what's happening now. So I have made it to Kunming. It was not a terribly comfortable bus ride, but it got me here and it saved me the cost of a hotel for the night. I got a taxi from the passenger bus station to a place that's supposed to have good breakfast, and I think I'm just gonna have a slow, lazy day. I'll probably go to a movie theater this afternoon, just like sit and watch a movie, and then oh gosh, I don't know, maybe just like go to my hotel that I have this evening and nap or watch TV or something really low-key and lazy. I am very much looking forward to checking the hotel and taking a shower and maybe having my first shave in about 2 weeks.
期待着你的回来，我的小宝贝，期待着你